And closing with what I thought would be the most appropriate closer. I think you'll all enjoy hearing why. And I introduce to you, folks, Matt Heller.
Thank you very much, Charlie. I appreciate it. So good afternoon. Whoa, hello. Now that was pretty good, but I think we can do it a little bit better. Good afternoon. Woo! So how many of you are a little sad that the conference is almost over? A little tear. All right. Well, put that sadness away because we don't have time for it. We are going to spend the next hour, or now that Charlie's done talking, 54 minutes, talking about teamwork and how important teamwork is not only to you and your farm, but also to your community and also here at the convention, here at the conference. Because the things that you do here, the camaraderie that you have here, can really help you move your business forward as you go back to your farms, as you go back home. Now, I have a quick question for you relating to teamwork. How many of you have ever worked on a dysfunctional team? Raise your hands. All right. How many of you have tried to lead a dysfunctional team? Okay. How many of you are the reason for the dysfunctional team? All right. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being honest. Well, for those of you who have not been in one of my sessions to this point, I will tell you that I've been in the amusement park, theme park, and attractions business for about 24 years. And in my time in that industry, I have been on and tried to lead my share of dysfunctional teams. And correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the biggest reasons that teams become dysfunctional is because of communication. Would you agree with that? All right. So it's how we communicate to one another. It's sometimes what we don't say to each other. It's sometimes, when we say things that don't quite mean what we thought they were supposed to mean to one another, and that impacts the way that we work together. So today we're going to really focus on strengthening communication so that we can strengthen teamwork. You on board with that? All right, fantastic. One thing I should tell you that I don't think I've told any group yet is that I'm a drummer. I've been playing drums since about 6 years old, and that's a big part of why this is called the rhythm of teamwork. Because what's one of the oldest forms of communication? Does anybody know? Drums, rhythm, exactly. So what my intent here today is to do, that was a weird sentence, but what my goal here is to get us working as a team, working through some rhythmic exercises to get us to feel what it's like to be a team so that then we can put some strategic elements around how to create great teams, whether, again, it's on our farm, here at the conference, or in our community. Okay, so we are going to be having some participation here today. Are you with me? Yes. You don't even know what we're doing, and you said yes. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Well, just to kind of give you an idea of just how primal this whole communication and rhythmic thing is, I want to give you just a little bit of background before we get into the whole teamwork piece. I want you to take a look up here. Who is this? King Kong. What is King Kong doing? Beating his chest. Oh, right? What does that mean? Does anybody know what that actually means? King of the jungle. Power. He's mad, maybe. It actually communicates social dominance. Social dominance, that's the thing. How many of you watched the Super Bowl? Okay. Did anybody see when somebody made a great play or they got a touchdown, they did the same thing? So this is something that is ingrained in us. It's innate in us. You notice that they didn't get a touchdown, and they put the ball down and they said, how am I going to celebrate this moment? How am I going to let everybody know that's watching what a great accomplishment I just made? Well, I could jump up and down. Well, that'd be okay. But no, they just kind of instinctually beat their chest and pound their chest. How many of you have children? When your children were young, how many of you would pat them on the back? And did that soothe them sometimes? It's for me. That would soothe them. How many of you put them in a car seat and drove them around the block? Right? It's because we are rhythmic creatures, and that taps into the whole thing about us using rhythm to strengthen communication and also to strengthen teamwork. Well, let's fast forward and take a look up here. Starting to use drums and rhythm in the military. Anybody here have been in the military? Okay, very important that people in the military are working from the same page of music, no pun intended. Okay, so in order to get people to march in step, we've got drums beating at certain intervals, and that's when your foot hits the ground. Okay, that's how we get people literally in step and in sync. Well, we can do the same thing with our teams if we give people the right guidance, if we give people the right ability to, and the right things to kind of line up with. Okay? Now, we really think of drums and rhythm as entertainment, don't we? How many of you use music in your farms and in your properties? Does it help people get excited? How many of you have that one song that just really gets you excited and you're going to put that song on and that's going to make me feel good for the day, right? Whether it's the theme from Rocky, dun dun da 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 da. I'm kind of tone deaf, but you get the idea, right? So you've got that song and that speaks to you. Or if there's a song that comes on and it just makes you cry, that speaks to you too. Okay? So this whole thing about rhythm is very innate to us. And it's something that we can use as something to pull us all together. When you think about, again, why teams tend not to work well, it does come down to communication, but it's also because we don't know what kind of things we have in common. If there's one thing that everybody in this room has in common, it's that you've got a beating heart. And that beating heart is beating out a rhythm. It might be a little bit different from, the person sitting next to you. But that is beating out a rhythm that we can get in sync with one another and then truly be on the same team.